student of the power of the mind. However, let me tell you that as I learned, I also realized that in my early childhood, in my teenage years, without knowing, I was using it and I was manifesting a lot of the things in my life, but I had no idea because I had never heard about the subconscious or the power of the mind or visualize and manifest. I had never heard any of that. It was all completely new for me. And look, this might be the case for you. It might be the first time you hear about it, or you might already be acquainted with it, or you might be really good at it, right? Of course, as times evolve, of course, as times evolve, we become more exposed to all of this information, which many years ago was only like certain people that had access to this information. But I think ever since the movie The Secret, for example, like more of these topics became more known. But I realized this is how I used to use it, even when I didn't know anything about it. So this is just to show you that whether you know it or not, whether you believe in it or not, it's still there and it's still working 24/7, every minute, every day of your life. Okay. So if you understand it, if you make use of it on purpose, then of course you're going to get more benefit from it. But even if you don't, trust me, it's still working. So, and remember, the default is negative. So if you're not consciously choosing what you want to focus on, what you want to manifest, what you want to track, the default of your subconscious is to go for the negative. So still working, as I said, whether you know it or not, whether you understand it or not, whether you believe it or not, is still working every single day. So I realized when I was little, I think I was already born with a traveling bug, like I always wanted to travel. So as a child, I mean, I don't come from a family with money. And so as a child, I used to sit in front of the TV and watch a travel channel, which was a channel from the American TV. In Mexico, we have a lot of influence from North America, of course. And so I used to watch all these trips and countries and experiences. And, there was this show where this lady and this guy, that's what they got paid to do, just travel, and they would film all of the trips and all the different things they could do, eating crickets in this country or that country or whatever. And so I used to be, wow, fascinated. And I was like, I want to travel. I don't want to just sit in front of the TV and watch all these beautiful countries. I want to go and see them myself in person, right? So I always talked about it with my parents. My brother's like, I want to travel. I want to travel the world. And my parents were just like, yeah. When you finish university. And they always kept saying, when you finish university. So for me, it became in my head like, oh, university is my ticket to freedom, right? When I hand over my university degree, that means I can go off traveling. Now, remember, again, I mean, back in those days, I was a child, right? So we're talking about 30 years ago. Travel wasn't as accessible as it is these days. Of course, right now we're in lockdown, during the pandemic, so it's not happening. But just before that, these days it's very easy for people to jump in a plane and travel. It's very common for people to visit many countries. It's very affordable compared to what it was, 30 years ago. So, but back in the day, especially for us Mexicans, it's a third world country. The currency is not very good for us if we have to pay for things in dollars, etc. So it was a big deal. And my parents kept saying, when you finish university. So for me, I went throughout the years just daydreaming that I would get to travel the world, that I would leave and I could do whatever I wanted and jump in a plane and go from one country to another and just see the world. And it just stayed in the back of my head, and I would often just daydream about it, or you can call it visualization or a guided meditation or whatever. For me, it was just very easy to, whenever I wanted to feel good, just to close my eyes, or even with my eyes open and just let my imagination go wild. Again, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how it worked. It was just something that I did because I felt good. I felt excited. It gave me something to look forward to later in life. So sure enough, finished high school, went to university. I chose whatever degree was there just because, I wasn't allowed. I'm the only girl at home. I have 3 brothers. So as the only girl at home, I wasn't allowed to just go to another city and get an apartment with friends and all of that. No way. My parents were very conservative. So I had to stay at home with them, which meant attending the local university, which meant choosing any of the degrees that were offered at the local university. So I chose IT. I became a computer systems engineer, and that was meant to be like a 5-year university degree. I didn't like it. I didn't, it was my ticket to freedom, remember? Because out of all the options I had, that's the one that looked the most attractive. So, and I did every summer subject, and I would get up at 4 in the morning to study because, of course, at that time my brain is fresher, so it's easier for things to stick, right? I would get up to study. I would gather my friends at the breaks and explain them subjects so that I could learn it better to be ready for my exams. And I never failed any subject ever in my life. I never failed any subject. And my friends used to say, oh, you're so lucky. You got another, A or another 10 or whatever. And I was like, I used to hate that because I was like, no, I'm not lucky. I got up at 4 in the morning to study. Like I didn't go out last night to study or whatever, right? Like I'm putting in the commitment and the drive because I had a big reason why. Can you see it? Like I knew handing in my university degree to my parents meant I could jump in a plane and I could leave, whether it was for a short time or forever, and I could just go travel the world. So I did every summer subject, everything I could to finish. I was also on the holidays already getting like part-time jobs here and there so that I could start saving for my trip. And cut a long story short, I graduated 6 months before anyone else in my generation. I was the very first one to graduate, and I did it 6 months earlier than anyone else. So, and again, everyone was like, oh, you're so lucky, you're so smart, you this, you that. And I'm like, no, I just have a big reason why. I just want to travel the world. And so sure enough, I finished in December. I did my thesis, my resectional exam, blah, blah, all done by February. That's how fast. And then a week later, I was in a plane. And as it turns out, I never went back other than on holiday. So I left when I was 21. I'm 42 now. So I've been away for half of my life. I went to Canada. I lived with some friends there. Then I met my best friends from Switzerland. So then I went to, I went on holidays once to San Francisco when I was 19 to visit my brother. He was studying there. That was just like a 2-month holiday. And then from there, I thought I'm going to do Europe. So I went to Europe, and I was a nanny with a family in Germany and then in Spain. And so I spent a whole year traveling around Europe, which, Europe is so cool because it's so easy because the countries are so small and so close together that you can see a lot of countries very quick. Not like Australia, where we have to take a plane for many, many, many hours just to get to any other country, right? So I did a year in Europe, and then I came to Australia as a nanny with a family in Sydney. And then I went and did New Zealand and Asia and Japan and you name it. So I literally traveled for 3 years around the world. But when I look back, I think, you know what? I manifested that, even though I didn't know anything about the power of the mind, because I used to daydream about it or visualize. I like calling it daydreaming. I used to daydream about it so often that I manifested it. I would get jobs any country I went to support my travel, and I would be like, okay, I'm ready for the next country. It was so cool because when you think about it, it's like I didn't have my parents to tell me what to do anymore. I was finished with university. I didn't have a husband or kids yet that I had to look after. So it was just me in my bags. Of course, my bags kept growing as I went from country to country, and I would shop and shop and shop, right? So sometimes I had friends' houses as my base in different countries where I would leave my winter clothes if I was going away to a summer destination, or I would leave my summer destination at their place and take my winter if I was going to a cold place. So it was really cool. For 3 years, I did anything and everything I wanted. And interestingly enough, when I was traveling, I started visualizing that I would end up in Australia and that I was going to meet the love of my life in Australia, and that he was half English, half Australian, all of these little details, right? He didn't smoke. He was about 10 years older than me, little specific details. And I would listen. I remember back in the day, it was a Sony round CD player, not like now that it's just all in our little phone, right? And so I used to carry my Sony round CD player with my CDs, and I was in the Euro train from London to Paris, and I remember this guy sat next to me and started chatting me up, and I'm thinking, why is he interrupting? Like I was in the mood, just, listening to Celine Dion and daydreaming of me and my man in Australia, which was so funny. Sure enough, I come to Australia, and a couple of months into Australia, guess what? I meet the father of my babies. I ended up marrying him. He's half Australian, half English, and again I went, oh, I manifested that because I used to daydream about it all the time, but I didn't know how the power of the mind worked. But I was just doing it because it felt good for me to imagine things. I would feel good and excited, and sure enough, they would come true later. So you can imagine, after I had my babies, my mom gifted me this book, and now it's like, oh, now I understand all these things that I have in my life. I've created them. I've manifested them, and they all started with the power of a thought in my mind that caused an emotion, and I felt good. And this is the thing. This is why people say, oh, positive affirmations don't work, or the movie The Secret doesn't work, whatever. It's because it's not just about thinking, it's about feeling. If you're just thinking about something, if you're just drawing or writing positive affirmations or saying them, they mean nothing. Nothing happens. The point is, and this is why it used to work for me, even though I didn't know how it worked, because every time I imagine myself traveling, or I imagine myself marrying my man in Australia, and blah, 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 I would feel, right? Typically, I would be playing a song, and that song, of course, now that I'm a neuro-linguistic programmer, master practitioner, right? So now that I understand NLP, which is all of the tools that Tony Robbins uses to help you reprogram your subconscious during UPW. So now that I'm a master practitioner of NLP, now I understand everything that I was doing. Like I was playing the same song every time. So I was anchoring the thoughts and the feelings of that moment I was imagining to that song. So then every time that song fired up, I would automatically, my brain would start creating all the endorphins and all the vibration of energy to help me manifest that, because I had already anchored really well all those thoughts that I was imagining, right? And so, and this is the thing, that every time I thought of me traveling or marrying my man, having our babies here in Australia, blah, blah, I would get so excited. I would feel butterflies in my tummy. My heart would be racing, and I would just have a smile on my face, because I would be like, it would feel like if it was real. That's the only reason why I would keep doing it over and over again, because it felt good, because I loved it, right? I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know what anchoring was. I didn't know the power of the mind. I didn't know manifestation, subconscious, nothing of that. I just did it because it felt good. But now you can see, fast track all these years later, it's like, that's why it works so well. So of course, when my mom gives me the book, and after my babies, I'm like, oh, of course, that's what I was doing. Now that I know, I can do it even more. So I started to do it on purpose. I started to create vision boards. I'm a big fan of vision boards. I love color. Color inspires me, but some people, they just grab a piece of paper and a pencil and they draw their vision board black and white, and it works wonders for them. There's no right or wrong. It's what works for you, what helps you create the feeling, because it's the feeling that puts the vibration of energy out into the universe, which goes on to attract the things that you want to manifest. So as again, some people just do cuts of magazines, some people draw it themselves. I like getting my I got really fancy over the years. I used to do cuts of magazines and stuff, but now I like to choose the photos from the internet, colorful, because remember, color for me inspires me. Color automatically uplifts my vibration of energy. I feel good when I'm surrounded by color. So I now get my graphic designer. I send her photos that I choose, and I get my graphic designer to design something really cool. And then I print it on a giant canvas of about 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter, just a big square canvas. And then I put it in my wall where I see it the most, which is typically my home office. And then I do one every January. Every new year, I do a new one, and I would typically manifest 70% of the things on my vision board every year within the year. So then I started teaching it at my retreats with my ladies. My very first retreat I did with my ladies, I remember I carried these cartolines all the way from Mexico to Australia, because I was on holidays. And when I arrived, I had my first retreat a couple of days later, so I didn't have time to get organized. So I carried them all the way from Mexico. They were so touched to know that I carry them with 2 babies, 4 suitcases, 4 airplanes, and I carry all those things across the world for them. And it was so cool because I had 7 ladies at my very first retreat, and we all sat on the carpet together with lots of magazines, scissors, glue, everything, and we all designed our vision boards, put it together. And I tell you what, my next retreat, which was about 3 months later, I went from 7 women to about 35 women because they invited them, because most of the things they put on their vision board themselves had already manifested within 3 months. Of course, they went telling everyone, so more women came, and that's how I started my business, basically. But up to this day, I'm still a big fan of vision boards. Let me just show you quickly. I'm in my office here, and you can see I've got, first of all, color everywhere. But see how I've got the canvases with color and like affirmations all the time. Again, I choose what I want them to say, then I send them to my graphic designer. She designs them, and I get them printed. I am worthy and deserving. I love and approve of myself. And then there's a little one here hiding in the corner. Maybe you can see it. I'm smart, I'm sexy, I'm glamorous, fearless, strong, successful, worthy. There's love everywhere, of course. Teach, encourage, instruct, mentor, praise, influence, guide, inspire. That's because that's my life purpose. You know, any of that, to teach, to encourage, to speak, to instruct, to mentor, to praise, to influence, to guide, to inspire. That's what I love doing. That's what gets my juices. If I get the opportunity to change one person's life, that makes my day. Here's an old vision board. Obviously, I've got lots of them, but this is an old one. And you can see there's a method to the madness. Usually in Feng Shui, there's certain positions in where to put your health or your wealth or your relationships or your family and stuff. So again, my graphic designer did that. Then I have over here, I am a beautiful soul and I shine my light for all to see. Do something amazing. Be amazing today. I fill my mind with positive quotes. I have loving, positive, and happy thoughts. I am wealthy, healthy, happy, fun, and loved. My family is everything to me. Oops, I'm a little anal. If they're not straight, they're not good. And then the yellow one, I am, and all of those things, right? So, and I have them everywhere. I have a few, the areas of my house and in my room. And, back in the day, I used to just get cuts of magazines or whatever and just glue them on the wall. My wall was like my art wall, which was my vision board with everything. So, as I said, there's no right or wrong. Another really powerful tool is to make yourself a mind movie. So it usually goes for the length of 1 song or 2 songs, which means your video is going to be about 3 minutes or 6 minutes. You collect all the photos of the things that you want to manifest in your life, or the, relationships, the career, the business, whatever it is. And then you put positive affirmations over them. And then you choose a song that really gets you going, right? And you create a little video, and that's very easy because you can have it on your phone. As I said, 3 minutes for 1 song or 6 minutes for 2 songs, thereabout. And again, first thing when you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing you do. You watch your mind movie. Last thing before you go to bed at night, before you close your eyes, you watch a movie. Why? Because just before you go to sleep and as you're waking up, we have this tiny little window where our brain waves slow down. And that is when the conscious mind gets out of the way, so you can put all the good stuff straight into your subconscious without your conscious mind judging and going, nah, you can't have that. No, you're not good enough. No, you'll never do that, blah, 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 right? So that's a tiny window that we get to kind of step over the guard of the castle, which is the conscious mind, and put everything straight, plant all the seeds straight into your subconscious. So it's really powerful to watch your little mind movie just before you fall asleep. When you're already really tired in bed, you already turn the light off, you already kiss your partner goodnight, and you're about to fall asleep, just watch your mind movie. And then same thing when you're waking up in the morning, when you're still like half asleep, just as soon as the alarm rings, you put it on, you watch your mind movie before you're fully alert. That's the most powerful time to do it. Another one is just to have a photo album on your phone that has all the cool photos of the things that you want that make you feel good. So, no video, no music, nothing, just an album with photos and you just flip through them, and as long as it causes a feeling, remember, you may have your vision board on the wall like me, and when you look at it, it's like, oh, it gets you all excited and going, right? It might just be the photos, it might be the mind movie, whatever it is, whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong. The key element here is it must create the feeling. Whatever tool or strategy you're using, it must create the feeling. You must get those butterflies in the tummy, or your heart racing, or the tears of joy, you know, or whatever it is. But whatever tool or strategy you're going to use, whatever photos or vision boards or whatever, they need to create a feeling. Without the feeling, nothing happens. So you might as well not bother. Okay, so you must get the feeling in order to put that vibration of energy out into the universe. And as I said, the more that you do it, just like, you know, the muscle at the gym, the more that you do it, the better you become at it, which means the faster you start to manifest. And then I promise you, you'll surprise yourself. Something that took a year, a few months, all of a sudden you have some thoughts, and 3 days later, boom, right? Because that's how good you become at it. So work it out. You have that tool at your disposal within yourself. Anytime you want to use it, it's free. Go and make the most of it. It's your best friend. It's your best tool in order to create the life of your dreams. So I'm so excited. I could just keep talking for hours about this, but you know, I've got to go. So I just want to tell you that Tony Robbins does all of these processes and strategies with you. He holds your hand through the process to make sure that 4 days later, after doing UPW virtual, you already planted all the seeds. You already reprogram all the limiting beliefs in your subconscious, etc. So if you haven't yet, I strongly recommend. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. You will never ever get another opportunity to be part of UPW virtual with Tony Robbins for the price that it is right now because of the pandemic. Thanks to success, resources, and the lockdown, it has never been this low. The investment has never been this low before, and it will never be like that again. So make the most, because this is the only time when you don't have to buy airplane tickets and hotels and food and travel and security lines. This is the only time you're going to pay this little, and you can do it in the comfort of your home, and you can do it with your loved ones. So that has never happened before in the history of humanity. Make the most now. Get your ticket for UPW virtual on bringthefreedom.com. Bringthefreedom.com. I'm excited to see you there. Choose your date, September or October. The first one is just around the corner. So I'm excited to see you there. On behalf of Tony Robbins, Success Resources, and Sandra Bravo, signing off from Gold Coast of Australia. I hope you enjoyed. I want to hear in the comments, what did you do to implement? What did you learn? What got you excited? And what results have you gotten after implementing? All the best. It's Friday. We'll see you on Monday again next week. Same place, same time. Have an amazing weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.